Hi, I'm Tracy Hansen. I'm the Director of Process Improvement, and today I have my pills doing a waste walk.
I'm Nancy Hankus, the Customer Relations Director, and I am a pill also.
I'm Stephanie Jazorski. I work in clinical informatics, and me too, I'm a pill.
I'm Katie Pullman. I work in product development, and I'm also a pill.
I'm the fourth pill. I'm Chris Ganon. I work in hospital quality improvement.
In there.
Everything from,
Not really sure.
yeah, like you said, holiday stuff. We've got some tables in there. We have
Construction
hospital
material.
things in there, or procedure things in there with that little kick bucket.
Clinical
You've
things.
got a
Slayer.
cart, a medical cart, garbage
You got some
can,
file cabinets
file
down there.
cabinets, yeah, insulation.
A cup of screws.
I mean, it's just, yeah.
There's some kind of machine up there. I don't know what it is.
It doesn't
And
work,
the-
doesn't it
and-
work?
Could be a
Unknown.
sterilizer.
There's boxes.
Uh-huh.
We have no idea what's in there.
Mm-hmm.
From a manager's perspective, I came back here at one time looking for a conference table. And the conference table that I found that would work for me was leaning up against that wall.
This one up here.
Yes, the cement wall. And so I see a waste of transportation because all of these things had to be moved in order for me to get to that resource. And it was about a day and a half before they could actually get to the piece of equipment that I
And a
needed.
lot of unnecessary motion.
Yeah, I was looking at that too,
Yeah.
unnecessary motion, yep. And weights and delays, it could fall into all of that also. But you know, I look at this and I just think how nice it would be to, like, if you had your hospital equipment, you already kind of see some of that because it's probably Gary's or Greg's, but have your hospital equipment aligned there, you have like your shop things, like wallpaper or whatever that stuff is there, flooring, have that in one area. You know, just kind of
Have it labeled.
Have it labeled, yeah.
For quick
So
access.
if I'm coming in here to look for a conference table, I know that this is where I'm gonna find housing items or conference items or things
Office
like that,
items.
office items. And have it divided up like that. That would probably be the very first thing I'd wanna do if I came into this room, is just organize. Okay, this all goes into this group, this all goes into that group.
I also see excess product back here. I don't do the work, but we have probably maybe 10 or 12 boxes of whatever that is stacked up. Is it necessary to have all of that readily available? Could you have 1 or 2 boxes and put the rest somewhere else?
What were you saying, Nancy?
Well, this cart looks pretty much brand new, and it's just kind of a storage bed right now for stuff. Whereas like products like this could go into where they have everything labeled down there.
I wonder this stuff could probably even tear.
Yeah, and
Tear.
see there's already creases and scratches from that being on there.
And there's a someone's foot
Yeah,
the
we lost
garbage.
a
in the
leg.
garbage. Yep.
They were trying to get a leg up on it and then.
Forgot to send it to
Trying to
pathology.
get a leg up on this waste.
Oh, that's so funny.
So, my question is like, what is behind here in this whole thing?
Well, I believe it's storage for the retail shop.
The
which
retail
means-
shop that's upstairs?
Which means that when they need to replenish inventory, they're walking all the way downstairs to get it and then bringing it all the way back upstairs.
Okay.
And there's an office back there.
There's an office in there as well.
So
Okay.
supplies are coming in the building for retail and they're moving them down here.
And that just to move them all the way
And
back.
then they're shelved
Mhm.
and organized, and then when we need inventory, that same piece of equipment is moving back through the same path
Yep.
and upstairs.
So which kind of waste is that, or which multiple forms of waste?
Transportation for sure, excess motion.
What about, there's a little bit of excess processing too, like having to sort through it on the shelves when it comes in and then having to sort through it when you're coming back and then putting it into inventory in the
It's almost
store.
like rework. Yep.
When you talk about your reports that you pull, so you can recall these patients, I remember at one time we had talked about, you compare with what's going on in the EMR, what you have in the EMR and what you've pulled off of CPS. When you go to actually do the scheduling, what was that? We pulled a report, no, you're entering the data into CPS so we can pull a report later. Otherwise, there's nothing else that's really going on in CPS. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So you're doing kind of a duplication of work when it comes to that actual recall process. So later on, you can abstract the data.
Yep, we enter in the time that they need to come back into the flow sheet on the EMR. As like a 5-year, they need to follow up with another colonoscopy, and then we have to go into Centricity PMs and enter in the same data, so we can pull this
Generate that list.
data off of that.
And then there's something that you put, that same type of stuff you put in the file cabinet,
Yep.
correct? You
Yep.
put, so then you
We
can
put that-
validate your recall
Yep,
5 years from now
that's
from the paper
correct.
copy that you have in there.
Yep.
Lots of fun.
We,
And then I wanted to get to the little order sticky note. What was that? Remember it was
The
the
order
Miralax or
sticky
the
note.
Go Lightly, or it
Oh,
was that tiny little sticky note that you guys have for orders.
this
I
one?
wanted to talk about. Yes, that's the one.
So, we usually send that with the letter to the doctor, and the doctor usually checks the box that which they need or they find appropriate, if they need to see the person or not, or which prep.
Oh, so they check that, and then that's your.
Yep.
Yep.
So
So,
that
not
could-
only are they signing the letter, they're
Yes.
sending this down as an order then
And this
also.
is just it's on with tape.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
So-
from there, you enter that order into the EMR, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since we're doing a waste walk, I just think it's interesting that we're talking about underutilized space. And we have a empty desk or cubicle here. And then if you follow me around the corner, I found another one.
You know what's trouble when Tracy's sitting there with the camera.
And one thing, when you become a pill, you become very aware. So here's another unit. And right behind you, Tracy, there's actually a conference room, which I'm sure they use, but is being basically underutilized right now in this entire space. You become very aware.
So where's this place?
This is behind the.
Behind the classroom.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, it is pretty well organized with some of these things. They're labeled so we know what's in what container, but
Looks like dietary has some bins up there too.
Uh-huh.
Up here.
And employee health.
I'm not quite sure what this is for.
It's really good.
Where are you girls all hanging out?
Supposed to get ask someone about using it, but I'm not
Kinda
sure
vague.
what it's for. It's
So that's from March.
like
You can't see. Oh, there it is.
filing something. But
April 27th, 2011.
We got
So-
a little storage of office supplies over here as well.
So do you think there's opportunity?
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Because, you know, like just with the paper and the envelopes, we already have,
Clasp
and
envelopes.
clasp envelopes, we already have that storage in the mailroom.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So,
So you're right, all your excess.
Jump ropes.
And again, if it was just organized, saying, you know, dietary,
That's kinda
education,
random.
yeah.
And I worry a little bit about safety in places like this. I mean, when you're blocking the walkway, you know, if you were back here and you know, there's a fire to try to like crawl over some of this stuff. This is the neatest I've seen.
I
in a
knocked that
while.
over.
Oh, really?
A lot of times there's tables and chairs and everything that you have to crawl around and move just to get through here.
Greater Staples Hospital, Greater Staples Care Center.
The caution tape. I would think for hazardous waste down there.
Emergency eye wash station.
Emergency eye wash station. But there's stuff parked in there, so I mean that's probably against the intent of the whole blocking it off for caution. Yeah, so where do you see waste and processes? Up here, up in the clinic registration area, or the waiting room, or down there?
Well, I'm not sure I see waste, but I certainly see congestion. And I've brought this up when I was on PIA that having registration right in front of the main elevator that services patients. I've come through here some days and There's, excuse me, just to get to the elevator.
There's no like ropes or anything to align make a line of people that are waiting.
A natural, what did you call it downstairs? A
The visual control.
Yeah. There's nothing visual for the people that are waiting to say, okay, I need to stand in line here, except for a sign.
And signage is really minimal up here as well. I think that people coming in the front door, specifically after guest services is in here, because they have no idea where they're headed.
Yeah.
Or before guest services get here. I think we've talked about that before. Anything when you walk through the door that tells you the clinic is to your left and the outpatient short stay hospital is to the
I
right?
was just going to say that because that's something that I've heard quite a few times, that I'm not sure where to register, and then there's no one at this desk, so they go over here, and that's not the right place either, or
And just how to
where
find the
go.
hospital.
That's probably the most common question at guest services is where to go, because there is no sign, and there's no sign as you move down the hall, there's no sign. So.
Or there's times that someone needs lab work, but it doesn't have to be done at a certain time. It's just when it's convenient for the patient. So then if it's outside of outpatient hours, you have to check in at the ER desk, and that's kind of confusing too.
For the clinic patient, they register with the clinic registration. If there's any reason for them to come over to the hospital side for emergency care or short stay care, they have to give that information all over again. Or they carry a piece of paper with it on it.
They go over to ER then? When they come
ER,
up, or down here to outpatient? Yeah.
There's also extended wait times sometimes because when the patient registers on the clinic side, it doesn't always activate that the patient is here. So people end up waiting in the waiting room with no information because the computer has not, refreshed
Right.
and says that the patient has actually arrived.
What do you know about waiting rooms and waits in any process?
Wait is waste.
Yeah.
Wait is waste. And there's nothing to really distract the people. And actually, our magazines are limited. So I see that as a problem.
Right.
And it could be an opportunity.